In this video we want to show you how to configure your sports. Since we are quite flexible in the configuration, there are also some things to consider. In addition, we will change something in the configuration in the future. Then you will find more pre-configured sports, more icons and even better automatic synchronization. Let's go. To configure the sports, we pass the mouse over Configuration. Click on Sport Types. Here you have the overview of all configured sports. In the lower area you will see internal sports that you can activate with one click. With Custom Sports, you can add your own sports. You can set heart rate, pace or power zones for each sport. You can see here that power and pace zones, for example, are not configurable. If you activate the power values for the respective sport or configure that a distance can be achieved for the sport, then these zones will be configurable too. Let's take a deeper look into the sport configuration. We want to change some settings for the running sport. So click on the pencil icon. There are several configuration options in a sport. Let's go through the options. Naming and icon should be clear. We will add more icons in the future. Internal sports or pre-configured sports are handled differently internally during automatic synchronization, as well as during certain calculation. In the future there will also be more internal sports. For some analyses, alternative types are grouped together whereas MAN types are always shown standalone from each other. During synchronization, the activity is initially set to private or public by default, depending on the settings. A rather unimportant setting. If you have created an activity type for a competition, you can specify it here. This is the default activity type selected during automatic synchronization. Energy turnover is recalculated when the distance or duration is changed. This happens on the basis of this value. Average heart rate will be used as fallback for calculations like trim, if no heart rate data is available. For cycling and running, we can calculate the power values based on the available data. Here you can set whether we should always calculate the power values or only if no values were supplied. If the configured sport tracks power values, is performed outdoors and a distance is recorded, then enable or disable the settings. You can set the speed unit for the sport here. It is important to know that this is independent of the general setting of the distance unit. Depending on how important the sport is, you can display it in the data browser in the complete row or only the icon. Here you can select a main equipment category. This category will be used in the data browser. The zone configuration should be quite straightforward. We may talk about this in a later video. We will talk about activity types in another video. You can easily add a new activity type to your sport here. We will also talk about the equipment again in a later video. In short, you can add your own equipment categories and as many equipment items as you want.